All right, welcome into Philadelphia Eagles Now by Chat Sports. I'm Chase Sr. Preseason game number 1 for the Birds is officially complete, and the Eagles falling to the Baltimore Ravens by a final score of 20-19. And there are things in sports, things in life that just do not make sense. And this is one of those things. The Baltimore Ravens have now won 24 consecutive preseason games, and they have not lost in the preseason since 2015. It doesn't make sense, but either way, it's kind of fascinating to a certain degree. Anyway, as for what we're getting into on today's show, appreciate everybody who tuned into our watch party. We broke down every single play that transpired tonight at M&T Bank Stadium in Baltimore, Maryland. So coming your way on the show, Eagles preseason game number 1, winners and losers following this matchup. First, though, make sure you subscribe to the channel. We're approaching 48,000 subscribers here on Philadelphia Eagles Now. And if you're in the market, if you're looking for year-round Eagles content and daily updates on the Birds, this is your go-to spot. Simply hit that subscribe button. We try to be as insightful, informative, and entertaining as possible. And we're going to continue to do watch parties like this with what we did here in the preseason all year long. So hit that subscribe button right now. So, of course, I have a couple of takeaways and I have a couple of things of note that I want to talk about in our postgame show. And this is a really good opportunity to take a look at some of the preseason standouts, some of the studs and some of the duds from this game against Baltimore. And I want to start first with our winners against Baltimore. And let's begin with Tanner McKee, the 7th-round quarterback out of Stanford who came into training camp as QB4 on this roster behind Jalen Hurts, Marcus Mariota, and Ian Book. But tonight we saw why Tanner McKee has elevated up the depth chart and why he's become the 3rd quarterback in line ahead of Ian Book. He's a more pro-ready quarterback as compared to Book, who did some good things at Notre Dame, but always kind of struggled as a passer. He's more of a running quarterback who's mobile, and he was with this team all last year, and he deserves credit for cracking this roster last year as a practice squad player and a member of a team that made it to the Super Bowl. But Tanner McKee is clearly the better quarterback. He went 12 of 20 tonight, 148 yards, no touchdowns, no picks. But what I saw from McKee, timing, anticipation, he was pushing the ball downfield. And at Stanford, when he was playing under David Shaw, they had one of the most boring offenses in all of college football. Tonight, though, in this Eagles offense that is aggressive, that's different, I thought that he was able to make a couple of really good plays downfield, back shoulder balls, big league throws that I think has earned him a spot on this 53-man roster. We know that the Eagles like to prioritize and they value quarterbacks and they invest in that position. I think they're going to have potentially 3 on this opening 53-man roster with Hurts, Mariota, and Tanner McKee, and I think Ian Book is on the outside looking in. Now let's go to Trey Sermon. Trey Sermon is a fascinating player because a couple of years ago, he was a 3rd-round pick by the San Francisco 49ers out of Ohio State. In the Big Ten championship game against Northwestern, he went off. And he had a really good year that year playing alongside Justin Fields. And he really came onto the scene as a player whose stock really had risen. At Oklahoma, he actually played with Jalen Hurts back in the day. It's not like he did anything that was ultra impressive. But he goes to Ohio State, physicality, getaway speed. He goes to the Niners, though. He wasn't a scheme fit there and seemed to be slow to diagnose where to run with the ball in trying to identify running lanes. With Philadelphia, though, the Eagles pick him up after he doesn't make the 49ers 53-man roster, and he got a couple of carries against the Jacksonville Jaguars. And going into this offseason, it was a big one for him. Nick Sirianni has complimented him time and time again, and he has said he's been really impressed with Sermon. And tonight we saw why. Throughout training camp, he's been utilized as a player who, it's not like the Eagles have used him as a guy who's not going to make the team. They've utilized him in a way where they think he has an opportunity to contribute to this club. He was used on kick returns. He has special teams ability. And this is where the conversation takes an interesting turn. I think that he had more juice, more explosiveness, more speed than Rashad Penny and plays on special teams. So given his versatility and the fact that he just simply looked better, I think he has a chance to make this team, and he's under contract for 2 years, this year and next year, whereas Penny was a 1-year deal where he might make the team and Rashad Penny might not. An interesting development that we have to continue to monitor throughout the preseason. Tyrie Cleveland was also very good tonight. Length, size, 50-50 balls. I thought he was physical at the point of attack and coming down with those contested catches. He was utilized pretty often in tonight's game, regardless of the quarterback. Marcus Mariota started, and by the way, I do have to mention Mariota, a couple of good third down pickups, a couple of good throws. But for Cleveland tonight, the Eagles clearly trusted him in this game plan. He had 5 catches for 68 yards, and 27 was the long for him. He reminded me tonight of what Deion Kane did last year, of that wide receiver who on those back shoulder fade balls, plays downfield, can go up and get it. And the Eagles, outside of A.J. Brown, don't really have a wide receiver who can do that. Do I think he's going to make the 53? He might be on the outside looking in of that, but he impressed me nonetheless. So with that, who is your biggest Eagles winner from tonight? Drop me a name down below in the comment section. We have some winners to get to and some losers as well. Jalen Carter, limited workload against the Ravens on his first play as a Philadelphia Eagle. I tweeted this out on my Twitter page, @Chase_senior, lined up at defensive tackle. Little bit of a delayed stunt, and on a critical down, he bursts through the line of scrimmage and has a pressure on Josh Johnson, who fittingly started this game for Baltimore after he had to replace Brock Purdy in the NFC Championship game last year. The Eagles saw that, the explosiveness, the speed coming from defensive tackle, where he lined up here, came around on that stunt, got that quick pressure, and Howie Roseman had to have been salivating with what he saw from Carter. He can contribute to this team on day one, and he showed tonight why. Eli Ricks, a huge winner. Anticipation skills at cornerback, had a couple of pass breakups, most notably an Eli Ricks pick 6. He may have earned a spot on this team. He started his college career at LSU. He transferred to Alabama. He is stupid long. I love the swagger that he played with all throughout the night. Eli Ricks was impressive tonight, ladies and gentlemen. And when you show that you can break up passes, when you can break on the football, when you have those anticipatory type skills, that translates to the NFL level. You don't have to be the twitchiest, strongest, fastest cornerback out there. But if you can make a play on the football like Eli Ricks did, there's a spot for you on an NFL roster. What's interesting here is that Darius Slay and James Bradbury are going to be the top outside cornerbacks for Philadelphia. The backups, though, behind them, it's a competition between Josh Jobe, who I thought played well in limited time, Eli Ricks, Mekhi Garner, and that competition is going to be a stiff one. And Greedy Williams is a player who was a second-round pick in 2019, signed with the Eagles in free agency. I'd rather take a chance on Eli Ricks and Mekhi Garner than Greedy Williams because they're playing better. And speaking of Mekhi Garner, some of the same things that I talked about with Ricks, just making a play on the football and showing that short area burst to make a break on trying to just break up a pass. I believe Garner did get beat earlier on a touchdown throw. So too did Keely Ringo. But both of those touchdowns that those players gave up as rookies did come on back shoulder fade balls that were big league throws fit into a tight window where the coverage was good, but it was a case of good defense and better offense. We'll get to our losers here in just a moment. First, though, if you want to cop yourself a Real John shirt, you can get them right now. Chatsports.com/RealJohn. And if you're a supporter of what we do here on Eagles Now and you go about your life rooting on the Birds, that means you're a real one and you're a real John in the process. It's a play on the legendary Philadelphia word the real ones know. We'll put that link in the comment section and in the description of this video. It's chatsports.com/RealJohn. Let's go to our losers here. Kennedy Brooks is a loser because the Eagles right now have a loaded competition for running backs trying to make this team, as evidenced by what I talked about with Trey Sermon. Are they going to have 5 backs on this roster? And if that's the case, Trey Sermon's in, right? If they only have 4, it might only be, Kenneth Gainwell, DeAndre Swift, who started tonight, Rashad Penny, Boston Scott, or if Penny's out, Trey Sermon makes the team. Kennedy Brooks is fighting for a roster spot. He was on the practice squad last year. He didn't look explosive, and he caught the football up, which was a bad turnover at the time given the game situation. The second half offensive line was not good. Now, Tanner McKee had to deal with some bullets flying at him, and I thought that he succeeded very, very well. Ian Book, I don't think that he looked good tonight, but at the same time, he was running for his life all throughout the evening. The second half offensive line was not good. And this goes back to just an overarching concern that I have with this team. The Eagles' starting offensive line is really good. Jordan Mailata, Landon Dickerson, Jason Kelsey, Cam Jurgens, Lane Johnson. None of those players played tonight. The backups, though, and injury attrition is a thing, did not perform well at all. And I trust Jeff Stoutland that he can get it right, that he can develop offensive linemen. But really from left to right, they were not a good unit. And then lastly, Greedy Williams goes down as an Eagles loser against Baltimore as well because he has not had a good training camp. He lost his confidence with the Cleveland Browns. He was a second-round pick in 2019 who has had some good moments in his career, but the Browns clearly moved on from him for a reason. And in camp, it's been more so Josh Jobe, Mekhi Garner, Eli Ricks, who have played better. And Zech McPherson is even playing in the slot now and returning punts as a special teamer. He was really good last year. He won Special Teams Player of the Week a time or two because he can at least make tackles. Greedy Williams can't do that, and he doesn't really play in the slot either. So he got beat a couple of times tonight, whether the pass was completed or not. We're looking at a situation here in which Greedy Williams doesn't make this team either. And sometimes as a cornerback, it comes down to a lack of confidence. And if you're overthinking things, if you're lacking confidence, it affects you because you're thinking too much and not relying on your instincts to just get after it and make a play. And I think we're seeing that with Greedy Williams. So Eagles winners, Eagles losers. Want to tee up this question for you. Your biggest Eagles loser from tonight. Drop me another name down in the comment section here. Feel free to share your thoughts. Don't be a stranger. Make sure you subscribe to the show. Watch parties, live shows, and daily Eagles content coming to you right here on Philadelphia Eagles Now.